Hi, this is Justice Spectrum with Make Texas Carry again, and today I'm going to be going back to the discussion of concealed carry versus open carry, and today I'll be doing a bit more in-depth, hopefully, version of the video I made a couple of years ago. The idea being that hopefully I'm slightly more informed on certain things than I was then, and that I will be able to give a fuller compare and contrast between the two options for carrying your everyday carry. So first I'm going to cover the basic reasons why someone would choose to open carry as opposed to conceal carry, or why someone would choose to conceal carry as opposed to open carry. So first of all, the first reason you might choose to open carry is because larger calibers tend to have larger sized handguns that go with them, and so larger handguns are harder to conceal. So someone who wants more power, a more powerful cartridge, is often going to end up having to A, open carry, or B, get a rather uncomfortably large or bulky clothing to cover their daily carry weapon. And on the other hand of that, the reason why someone might choose to conceal carry is to foster program compliance. Smaller calibers, rather, smaller weapons can be carried more comfortably and and those are generally concealed weapons. So another reason why someone might decide to open carry as opposed to conceal carry is the aspect of prevention. The idea that when you open carry, you broadcast to everyone that, hey, I'm armed, don't try anything. And there's a certain idea that can, in some cases, prevent someone from ever doing anything violent in the first place, so that nobody even has to draw their weapon to put down a situation. And on the other side of that, the reason someone might choose to conceal carry is to avoid that attention, to protect themselves, prevent themselves from becoming a target, and also to prevent other people being uncomfortable around them. Another reason someone might choose to open carry is if they're in the field and they don't really need to worry about what anybody thinks or what anybody sees or whatever, because they're not around anybody. They're just out in the field hunting or whatever, and they want to carry their sidearm openly. And the contrary to that, or the other side of that, is a reason someone might conceal carry is because certain places don't allow you to open carry. Entire states don't allow you to open carry That's not something we have to worry about in Texas, but it is a thing a lot of people have to worry about. And again, even in Texas, there are a lot of places that will not allow you to open carry. And the last reason that that I'll give for why someone may choose to open carry, and this is a reason that I've always factored in, is the possibility that in the event that, God forbid, a shooting takes place and I am targeted, or I am hit first, someone else can see that I'm carrying and use my weapon to put the attacker down. The way I look at it, if I am the first person killed and someone uses my gun to put down a mass shooter, I've done my part. That's just the way I look at it. And then on the other side of that, another reason someone might choose to conceal carry is the opposite of that, to prevent other people, to prevent specifically criminals from using their firearms, because it's a lot harder to take someone's concealed weapon than to take someone's openly carried weapon. And I would go into pros and cons of open carry versus concealed carry, but those are basically the same as the reasons why someone would open carry versus concealed carry. So basically all the reasons someone concealed carry are cons against open carrying, and the reasons someone would open carry are cons against concealed carry. Not exactly, but basically. And then I'm going to go into methods for each type of carry. Probably the most common way for someone to open carry or concealed carry, but specifically to open carry, would be on the dominant side hip. It's easy to access. It's just right where your right hand is, you know. Probably the maybe not the most common, but one of the more common places for concealed carry would be in the pocket, especially if your pistol is specifically designed for that. And again, there's some nuance to, you could kind of carry certain open carry weapons in your pocket, especially if you have a holster, an open carry holster that fits in the pocket. And you can conceal carry on your dominant side hip, but for me, I've found that carrying a concealed weapon on the hips, kind of, especially if you're carrying it inside the waistband, it gets kind of tight with your belt and stuff. Another method that is pretty much restricted to open carry is with a drop holster. So basically you have a holster that's lower than your dominant hip, strapped to your leg, and that would be extremely hard to conceal carry, obviously. Another open carry site is the small of your back, or what I sometimes call a back draw. I used to be a fan of that. I'm not so much anymore, especially for open carry. If I'm open carrying in the field, I might carry on the small of my back. But the real problem with carrying a pistol, carrying a pistol openly on the small of your back, is that someone can easily sneak up behind you and grab it, and that's not so much a problem with dominant side hip or drop holster, and it's even less of a problem on the next option, which is appendix carry. Appendix carry is one of my favorites, probably is my favorite. It can be a little uncomfortable for most guys, but I've generally found that I can live with it. But yeah, appendix carry is probably the safest in terms of it's hard for someone else to grab your pistol when you have it in an appendix holster. And then the last open carry method I'll discuss would be a cross draw. And again, these can be, there's some nuance to whether these can be concealed carry sights or not, but drawing across from your non-dominant hip, generally not the best idea. It is technically an option, and it can be a decent option if you're sitting down a lot or in other positions where drawing from one of these other carry sites would be difficult. But to get back to more concealed carry sites, one option would be in a purse or backpack. I actually have a holster in my crossbody bag here. That's I technically, well, if I'm wearing an overcoat, I'll use it to conceal my weapon if I'm going in someplace where I don't feel comfortable open carrying. Although this is also a open carry site if I don't have a coat on over it. Another common concealed carry site is also the appendix. It's very easy to conceal an appendix carried weapon. It's already in a recessed site of your body, I guess, and getting some baggy clothing that hangs over that is not hard. The next option for concealed carry sites would be shoulder holster. There are problems also with the shoulder holster, like potentially flagging your own non-dominant arm and potentially flagging half the world as you draw your weapon out. But overall, not a terrible concealed carry site. And again, this can also be an open carry site. It's just a matter of whether or not you're wearing a coat. And coat, by the way, is the next concealed carry method, which basically, if you're wearing an overcoat, it basically can change pretty much any open carry site into a concealed carry site, with the exception of a drop holster, depending on how long your coat is and how, if you're going to be like sitting down, then there's a good chance that even a long coat will split like above the knees and hang over, exposing your pistol. Now, the next option, it's not really a method for either one of, I guess it would be sort of a method for open carry. And this is something I propose or support, something I try to do as much as I can, and it's basically a hybrid of open carry versus concealed carry. And that's basically where you wear your pistol so it's technically open carry, and if you're going any place that you can't open carry, don't do this. But your weapon's open, but it's in a very inconspicuous place. Like if I'm wearing a all black shirt and a black coat, and just the narrowest edge of my pistol is exposed, and it's black, it's a very inconspicuous, not as likely to draw attention, but it still has the advantage of it's open, it's easy to grab if I need it. But that's enough of methods, so we'll get on to some basic advice for open carry versus concealed carry. First bit of advice: if you're going to open carry, keep your hands away from your pistol. You don't want to keep touching it. You don't want to rest your hands on the butt of your pistol. Nobody's going to think you're cool because you're sitting there resting your hand on your pistol. They're going to call the cops is what they're going to do. So you have to be very considerate of how you carry yourself when you open carry. That's the last of that coffee, I promise. And first bit of advice for concealed carry is you need to practice drawing your weapon. You have to do this if you're open carrying as well, but especially if you're concealed carrying, and especially if you have to lift up your shirt and then lift down. If you have to lift up your shirt and lift down your pants, or if you have to you have to brush aside your coat and then lift up your shirt, and then some of those holsters have like a little handle that you have to lift up the holster to get to your gun. If you have extra steps like that you have to go through to get to your gun, you have to practice getting to that efficiently and quickly, where that's not such a problem for people who open carry. Another bit of advice for open carry: you have to avoid being aggressive. Now this goes along with being conscious of how you carry yourself, but it speaks specifically to you have to avoid situations where you are seen as hostile or a potential threat to people. You can't get like angry at people. You have to be polite and considerate, so that people don't get scared of you, don't think you're up to something, don't call the police, but also so that you represent, because you're very visibly a gun toter when you're open carrying, and you have to make sure that you represent us well. And another piece of advice for concealed carries, you have to be a little bit more aware, I think, of situational awareness, because again, you have a longer delay in drawing your weapon, so you have to you can't get complacent, and you may say that sounds like something open carry people should worry about more. Well, I agree. My next bit of advice for people who open carry is keep your distance from people. You don't want to be open carrying in crowded areas or in tight areas close to a bunch of other people who could potentially grab your weapon from you. So keep your distance. And then next bit of advice for concealed carry, you have to update or keep your PMCS of your weapon. And that goes for open carry too, as your weapon's getting in the weather and stuff. But for people who conceal carry, you have to make sure you're not getting pocket lint all in your weapon. You have to make sure that your weapon's not getting rusty because you're sweaty and it's in your crotch on a hot summer day. And there's, I think, a little bit more upkeep with PMCS for concealed carry weapons than there is for open carry weapons. Even when it comes to something that you'd think would affect open carry weapons more, like weather, if it rains, for example, an open carry weapon is going to be in the air. It's going to dry out faster than something that's in your pants or wherever you keep your concealed carry weapon, and you have to be mindful of that and keep up your PMCS. Now, the last bit of advice for both open carries and concealed carries is you have to know where you can go. You have to know where you're allowed to open carry. You have to know where you're allowed to conceal carry. You have to know where you're allowed to carry at all. You have to know where you can constitutionally carry, or where you have to have a license to carry. If you already have a license, then you don't really need to worry about places that require you to have a license. But you have to know where you can go, because your weapon won't do you any good if you're in jail for 10 years because you decided to carry your weapon somewhere you weren't allowed to. So yeah, that's a much more in-depth version of concealed carry versus open carry. And if you've made it this far, I want to thank you all very much for putting up with my stammering and meandering and my incessant ing. I'm still trying to work on that. But yeah, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye.